unbroken horizontal lines. Traditionally, the invention of these hexagrams, or rather of the three-line trigrams that were thought to constitute them, was ascribed to the legendary Fu Xi, divinely inspired by his observations of the pattern of the universe, of nature, of heaven and earth. Some have speculated that it may have been the fall of the yarrow stalk themselves that gave rise to these patterns of divided and undivided lines. Others trace the hexagrams back to the early patterns scratched on the oracle bones. In any event, an oracular text or book became attached to the hexagrams. This is as much as we can piece together of the hazy early story of the oracle. There seems to have been several books of a similar nature. One, ours, was known as the Zhou Yi, the Change of Zhou. In those days, it should be remembered, books were bundles of bamboo strips bound together with silk threads or leather thongs. There have been many different explanations for the term change itself, today pronounced yi, in ancient days closer to lek. In the oracle bone inscriptions, it is used for a change in the weather. It will not rain, it will become changed to overcast. Will it be changed to an overcast day? Sometimes the change in weather was the other way around, and the sun came out. But there seems to be no sun element in the early graph, which looks more like drops of water, rain or mist, beside the moon. As the American scholar Donald Harper has observed, there is simply too much that we do not know to permit a precise account of the development of the hexagrams and of the evolution of the Zhou Yi from oracle to what I will refer to loosely as a book of wisdom, from achillomancy, yarrow divination, to bibliomancy, divination by the book known as the Change of Zhou. What is indisputable is that several of the early formulae used by the diviners of the Shang era, as they occur in the surviving inscriptions, are also found in the Bronze Age text of the oracle. Richard Kunst has summarized this well. The divinatory lexicon took up in the late second millennium and early first millennium from where the oracle book inscriptions left off, then continued to develop through the years of the Zhou dynasty. This Bronze Age text, which is the basis of Part 2 of my translation, seems to have gradually stabilized toward the middle of the dynasty, sometime between the 9th and 6th centuries BC. It was widely used by the statesmen of the period, as we can read from several episodes in the Zuo commentary. It was canonized as a classic, the I Ching, or the book Classic of Change, in 136 BC, by which point it had already been provided with a series of commentaries. It has survived through the subsequent 2,000 years of Chinese history. The strangest and most incomprehensible item in the Chinese canon, a text central to Confucian orthodoxy and yet revered by Taoists and Buddhists, the first of the Confucian classics, and a pillar of state ideology, and yet at the same time a subtle and powerful vehicle for a wide range of heterodox ideas. The book we have today, then new editions of which, serious and not so serious, still appear with regularity in China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, is the direct descendant of ancient Chinese divination and magic. Its core oracular text, the Change of Zhou, consists of hexagrams themselves. The hexagram judgments and the statements attached to each line share many of preoccupations of the Shang dynasty divination, the practice of sacrifice, ritual, and warfare, the taking of captives, the activities of a pastoral society, herding, hunting, raising, and gelding of livestock, sickness, its cause and cure, astronomical phenomenon, and tinglings and other strange premonitions. Its language derives from the earliest known form of Chinese used to record acts of divination. If the oracle bone inscriptions and the later inscriptions on the bronze ritual vessels are the Chinese language in the making, the Change of Zhou is one of the earliest attempts to put that language to a coherent purpose. In addition to divinatory formulas such as, "It is auspicious," "A sacrifice was received," "Supreme fortune," and "no harm," the early oracle incorporated a patchwork of other popular oral materials, fragments of ancestral legend and myth, proverbs, songs, and rhymes, which became attached to a cyclical structure, the series of 64 hexagrams. Joseph Needham, the great historian of Chinese science and thought,